This is the Microsoft Surface Go, and without wasting any time, let me get right into why I don't like this device. I mean, there's a lot of good things about it. If you guys haven't already watched the video where I praise it so much and list out everything I love about it, be sure to watch it. I'll have the link somewhere up here. But this device isn't perfect by any measure, and there's a lot of things that are wrong with it. So let me start off with number one, which is the keyboard. So while I said that the keyboard is great, that's an issue because it's too good. In fact, it's so good that you can't use this tablet really effectively without having this keyboard. It's a must. It's almost useless without it, and I really don't like that. The iPad, even without the keyboard, it's really usable. The UI is made in a way where everything is navigatable without having a keyboard, whereas with this one, without a keyboard, you're really stuck. I mean, I understand that Windows is just, not really that way, especially when you're using a full desktop OS. You can't expect to have, tablet-like reactions and a tablet interface there, but I really wish that the Microsoft tablet interface and the way that they go about this was a lot better without having to have a keyboard. Having the keyboard is just the only way to really use this device, and that sucks because that means that you have to add on to the price of this device, which is $400 and then the $100 for the cover. So I think that really the only issue I have per se with this would be just the fact that it's not included. You have to buy it doesn't make sense because without this, the experience is just incomplete. So, I mean, anybody who buys this without the keyboard really isn't getting their money's worth out of that $400 anyways. Whereas with the iPad, even if you buy it without a keyboard, there isn't much you're missing out on. The experience is overall the same. The only place where there's a big difference is when you're typing. However, with the Surface, you're using it for navigating throughout the device. And without that keyboard, it makes navigation a lot harder. And Windows just isn't meant to be one of those touchscreen-based OSs. I mean, they've done a lot better from the past, but still, Windows 10 does not compare to a mobile device-centric OS such as iOS. Number two, so this device is thicker and heavier than the iPad Pro. Now, thicker, I can understand, they got this kickstand, and they've got a lot of things going right now where, you really can't shed a lot of weight, but it seems to be a little bit unnecessarily thick. This is way more reminiscent of the first generation iPad than it is the newest one, so it definitely looks a little bit different. And when you add on the keyboard cover, the thickness is even further accentuated, and really it does feel like a laptop at that point. It does not feel like a tablet in terms of thickness, but the weight as well, comparing to the iPad, it's bad, but on its own, not too bad. I think that I could live with it. But just, that's something that really bothers me, and I'll explain to you in a further point why. Number three, the processor. This has a Intel Pentium Gold 4415Y processor. That's a lot of letters and numbers, but the end of the day, it's not that powerful of a processor. It's a decent processor even for now. It doesn't do too much, and in the future, it's definitely not going to hold up, not even anywhere close to how the iPads do. In fact, I think that performance-wise, this is more comparable to the iPad Air 2, which is 2 generations older than the iPad Pro that we have right now. It's just, the Pentium is not, it's not strong enough to handle multitasking. When you open up a couple of tabs in Chrome, that's it, it's shot. You can't do more than that. And the fact that the Pentium isn't doing it any favors. It really needs a more powerful processor, especially when you compare it to what the iPad has. The iPad Pro has that A10 Fusion chip, which really it just kicks butt. And just, why I'm mentioning this is because even when I started using the device, I can feel sluggishness in some areas, and this is when it's brand new. So think about it a year down the road, 2 years down the road. Tablets really don't get replaced every year like phones do, and with this, I'm not sure how long it's going to handle the workload that you throw at it, especially as it ages and there's more data on it and it's just clogged down even more with applications. So that's something I'm not really happy about with the Pentium processor. I hope that Microsoft switches to something more powerful on the next iteration of this device. Number four. Now this is something that it's kind of weird to even talk about, but that's the point of it, and that would be, I don't know if this is supposed to be a laptop or a tablet, because as a tablet, it's not good. And even as a laptop, it's not too good. It's kind of like the worst of both worlds. You get the thickness and heaviness of a laptop, but you don't get the, long battery life of something like a tablet. You don't get the thinness of it. It's just the combination of this doesn't really make sense to me right now, because the way it works is a lot like a traditional laptop, and you could probably get a traditional laptop for the same price of this for a lot cheaper. Now, the one thing I did like about this is that you could use it as a tablet, especially when you're traveling. You can get rid of the keyboard. You could, it's a lot nicer to have in that manner. But honestly speaking, why would you buy this and not buy a laptop would be my thing. And I still think that I might just do that. I might just get rid of this and buy a laptop, because a laptop makes a lot more sense than it does as a tablet. It's just, I'm telling you guys, this is the biggest thing that I've been kind of battling with when it came to this device, because I love it. I love the Surface lineup. I love the idea of it, but it's not powerful. It's not really that effective as a tablet, and having to have that keyboard to really even get the most out of it really makes it more of a laptop than a tablet. And it's not even that a laptop, because you don't get the goodies of a laptop. That's like the multiple USB ports and the longer charge, the bigger battery, all that. It's kind of missing in this, which really does bother me. And I think that's the biggest problem right now. The iPad is clearly a tablet. MacBooks are clearly a MacBook. And why I'm mentioning that is because Apple is their direct competitor in this case. And they're clearly defined as to what a tablet and a laptop is, but Microsoft is still trying to ride the thin white line there, and they've been failing. They need to go all out, in my opinion. Either make it a full-on tablet or make it a laptop in a way that it's a little bit better and doesn't really have to have as many compromises as this does. So it's just rounding up. It's just a lot to think about. And now, one of the biggest issues with this, as I was kind of mentioning in that last point, was the battery life. The battery life on this is bad. It's not, I'm not going to say it's mediocre. It's okay. It's bad. In comparison to the iPads I've used, this is just pathetic. What I don't understand is this is such a thick device. I mean, it's almost twice the thickness of an iPad Pro, and it can't even muster out half the battery, and it just doesn't make sense. And when I did some research, I found out that the battery inside this is tiny. It's ridiculous, actually, to be honest with you. And why Microsoft didn't include a bigger battery in this? I mean, it's supposed to be a tablet. You're supposed to roam around with it all day and not have to worry about charge. But with this, you definitely do. If you're using it consistently throughout the day, you need to charge it up once or twice. It's not like an iPad where you can use it all day. In fact, maybe even a couple of days without having to worry about charge. It just really bothers me that Microsoft would do that, especially since they're trying to market this as an iPad competitor. So coming down to the raw numbers of the battery, this has a 3411 milliamp hour battery, whereas the iPad Pro has something of an 8400-ish milliamp hour battery, and it really shows, as I'm saying. The battery lasts about 3 to 4 hours, and if you're using the speakers, you've got the smart keyboard connected with the light and everything going, it's going to eat up your battery quick. And honestly, that's a big drawback for me, because having this is supposed to kind of replace a laptop. And if you can't have this replace a laptop without at least giving you better battery, I don't see what the point is. And that really does disappoint me. I do hope that the next iteration of this has a much larger battery and at least tries to match the battery life of the iPad Pro. Number 6, and this is going to be the final real rant about this, and it kind of goes back into that laptop, tablet kind of discussion. And when this turns on, it takes a little bit of a while, and I don't understand why. Now, if you have an iPad, or if you've ever used an iPad, you know that it's in sleep mode, and you just hit the power button and it immediately shows you the lock screen, and you can get right in. With this, that's not the case. Now let me just show you guys, this device has been turned off for a little while, and for me to turn it on, I have to hold the power button down. I'll get the Windows screen, it's going to be there for a couple of seconds, and then I get the lock screen, which I have no idea why. I mean, see, that was way too long for the screen to load up, in my opinion. An iPad, it's immediate. You hit the power button, it doesn't matter how many days it's been sitting there. As long as there's battery, it's going to be immediate, which, I mean, it's weird. If it's supposed to be a tablet, you're not supposed to have that much of a delay. It's supposed to be in a quick sleep mode where you lift up the screen and it's there, immediately the lock screen. Even my MacBook doesn't take as much time to turn on when I lift the screen up, so I don't know why the tablet, the Surface, takes so much time. I mean, it is definitely a Windows thing, how they're not optimized to go into quick sleep mode and get out of it, but oh my God, does it disturb me, especially because this is supposed to be a tablet. So that kind of wraps up the video, guys. I mean, this device is good, but it's not really that good. I wouldn't really recommend people buy this unless you really want a Surface product. The iPad still is a little bit of a better bet just because it's a lot more sorted out, and this really has a long way to go. Now the price is really good, so if you're looking for a Windows machine that is Windows branded, that's a Microsoft product, this is probably the best way to go right now. It's got a lot of cool things. It's definitely very interesting, and if you don't like the Apple ecosystem and want to stay away from it, definitely the only other tablet I would recommend. All the other Androids are really not even close. So this is a good second place, but if you're not that particular about sticking with Apple or Microsoft, or if you're not just trying to avoid Apple, I would really not recommend this. The only reason I would tell you to get this is if you specifically don't want an iPad. So this, I mean, I think that there's a long way to go with this, but I really hope Microsoft keeps at it because it is a good device. It's a good first attempt, but they need to fix the issues and they need to fix it quick. And I hope that they don't delay it too much. Maybe within 6 or 8 months they refresh this and they fix all the issues they have. And I think that this would be a very solid product, especially for students and people who are always on the go. So let me know what you guys think about the Surface Go. I mean, I'm obviously torn between it. I do love it a lot, but there are just some deal breakers for me in this, which really make it hard to consider whether to keep this or get a laptop. So what would you guys do? Would you guys prefer a laptop? Because at the end of the day, remember, this costs about $600 with that keyboard and everything else. So would you buy this, or would you buy just a $600 laptop, which does everything better than this as a laptop? So let me know down in the comments below. And if you haven't already, guys, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more content on the Surface Go. And follow me on social media as well. I have all the links down in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.